Hello, welcome back. This is Sir Bandersnatch giving lessons on Denizen Scripting for Minecraft. If you haven't watched the other lessons, please do so to catch up to the project we're working on. We're building an RPG server with the Denizen plugin for Minecraft, so it allows you to do modding without having Forge installed, and it's pretty great. However, what we're making now is an attributes system so that the players can have strength, dexterity, and intelligence as part of their skill checks in this fantasy medieval type world that we're building. And so it's not the most exciting thing in that we're not like conjuring dragons and smutting them with fireballs yet, but it's pretty exciting in the fact that it has a high degree of functionality and it's very useful to learn how this works so we can apply it to other things, because we'll be using some of these same techniques to move forward up with and build all of our systems, even those really great magical spells. So where we left off last time was needing to not be able to upgrade your attributes unlimitedly. So right now, you can just keep clicking on these to raise them. And so we'll be building a system to stop that, so you can only upgrade per your attribute points. And then the other thing we're going to do is create some feedback for the users so they know what they're doing. And I think what we'll do for that is we'll create a hover on each one of these elements, each one of these lines, and it will give the description and it will give the instructions as to what you can do with it. That is, click to raise it, like we have been doing. As you can see, when you click it, it just keeps raising and raising. So to do that, first we have to make a thing for attribute points, make a system. And we'll be doing that with flags. I've been talking about flags the last couple lessons, and we'll be using flags for many, many different things, and this is another one of those things. They're just so useful, as you'll be able to see in this lesson and ones to come. So where to keep the information about attribute points? We could put it in the attributes data. However, I think we don't need to yet. It would be nice to have an area to assign starting values like that. However, this doesn't seem to be the right place because the attribute points won't be equal to any one of these things. What I mean by equal is like it's not at the same level. Like one of these things is not like the other. The attribute points will not be like these things. We could create a whole new data script container, but that seems like overkill for just that thing. So we'll probably have a lot more starting values to have in the future, such as all your skills, other points that you may use for other things. I'll have skill points. There's just so many different things, and so I think I'll build a data script container for those things when the time comes. So I think for now we'll just give them a set of skill points, of attribute points that is, and we'll just set it right into one of these functions. So uh, what we'll do is start out writing a check for attribute points. That is to say, if they have any attribute points, then it will allow them to upgrade their skill, to add another level to it. And we'll put that right in here. Now I see that check could be placed in either this area before we allow them to click, or in the task itself that raises it. So let's just start putting it here and we'll decide if we need to move it later. So we'll say if player has flag. We've done this before. So we'll be using this system a lot to check if they have a flag before they can do something. Flags are a good way to allow access to something, and this is one way to do that. We did that right here, if you remember from our past lessons. But this time we're going to check So if player has flag, we'll just call it attribute points for now. I don't know how to namespace this like I did the other one yet until I have that system built out, but I can change it at that point. So if they have the flag attribute points, that's one way to check. Now we also want to check if they have any attribute points as well. So let's also check. So there's, you can run two if statements together. You can do ands or ors in these operators. I'm going to do an and. So they need to have the flag attribute points, and the player flag attribute points needs to be above 0. Attribute points, so these two are the same, it's checking the same flag. One to just see if it's there, one to see if they have any. So if they have, so the way this works, let me put the colon in, and then we'll just say has attribute points. So the way this works is it runs through, just like a normal if statement, it'll say if player has attribute points. Now if they don't have that flag, this fails. The way the and works is that both of these have to pass. So before, remember we said the statement has to pass as true for the next block to run. And in this case, they both have to be true to run. So it's saying and. So the player has to have the flag and it has to be above 0. To make it above 0, we're going to put above 0. So that's greater than 0. So these if statements can check for numbers, it can equal some piece of text, anything that you want to do to check to make it true or false. And we'll go over a lot of these as we move forward. So here's a new one. In the past, we're just seeing if they did not have the flag. Here we're checking if they have it and they have it set above 0. So there's two statements we're checking to be true. Now if you're going to do an or, which is this, is where either one can be true. So with the or, if one of them fails, then it'll go to the next one. And if this one passes, then it will run the block of code inside. And if it is an and, then both of them have to be true. So if this one fails, then the whole statement fails and it will not run this block of code in there. So we can stick with or in this case. So let's try that out. Right now, I don't have these, so this will fail. Let's make an else statement in just to check this out. Narrate. And actually, well, this is what we'll have to do. You don't have any attribute points. Go find some or whatever. And then in my game, they'll be getting these throughout the game for completing quests and that kind of thing. And for experience gains. And we'll talk about that in future lessons. So you don't have any attribute points. So we couldn't test this out. It should say that right there. Because we don't have, there's no such thing as attribute points for right now. Unless I had it set in the past. So let's X reload. And let's run our interface. And let's click on one of them. Yeah, you don't have any attribute points. So it still says raising because that's part of this. It still runs the rest of it. It actually still raises it because we don't stop it from doing so. But it's a test, you know, we're just testing to see if that works, and it does. So you can see that one of these failed. In this case, they both failed, but it stops at this first one. It's kind of important to know that because you could use it to your advantage in other ways. The way we'll be running this is we're going to be doing the not again. I think I like to do that, and then I'll show you why. If they don't have the flag, or how about if it's less than 1, then we can just say you don't have the attribute points. So we'll change the statement to read that way. We don't need the else, and we're just going to stop the script from running. So that's just stop. Okay, so stop stops the current queue. So that's all it does. So when you have a stop in there, and it reads that it allows the script to, or it keeps the script from running anymore. So if I had anything here, well, I do have some stuff down here, right? None of this will run when this hits stop. It's only going to run this command if this is true in here. And with this being true means that if I don't have any attribute points, or I don't have the flag set, it's going to stop and none of this will run. So I think this is a nice concise way to do it. Instead of writing an else statement, it just keeps one less line, and possibly a lot more less lines. So this will not run right now the way we have it, assuming I have everything typed correctly. So let's reload, run the attributes, and try to. So it says you don't have any attribute points, and it just stops the script. So nothing happens. The one thing that's not running that I want to run is this this task again, because this is what opens our book. So because that goes back up to this task and opens our book again, which indicates to me we might want to move this somewhere else. We might check for that up here and not allow that to run. But that's something we can all consider as we move forward. But for now, this is working pretty good. I'm trying to think of a way to get around that. Well, one way to get around it is to revert this back to a true statement. If it's greater than 0, and then we can go forward and do the code. So this is the other way to do it, and this might be how we have to do it in order to get this to work. And then we could do else. And now we don't need to stop it because it's the end of that task anyway. So what's going to happen here is if this is true or this is true, if they have the flag, now I know why I wanted it back to and, because they have to have more than 0. So let's keep that as and. So both of these have to be true. Of course, if they have the flag over 0, they have the flag as well. But there might be a case, it's just an extra safety check to see if they have the flag too, because if they, it's just an extra double layered check. So if they have the flag and it's over 0, then we can raise the attribute. If they don't, they're going to get this message and it's not going to run. So I guess in this way we have to go this way to make this work. What we need to do is we're going to still run this task. This is why testing is good. And we're still going to run the task anyway. We're going to reopen the book. We're going to run this task either way. So that's why it's indented at the same level as these. So this code's only going to run if this is true. This code's only going to run if this is false. And this is going to run no matter what, because it's not indented and encapsulated in any one of these statements. All right, so we're getting a while to get here, but we're getting there nonetheless. And it's good to come into these mistakes because you can see the thought process. So let's reload. I did that, and let's look at this. This going to work this time. Yeah, it's not giving us more. It's staying at 22, and it's saying you don't have any attribute points. So that message is displaying. Good. So now we're stopping them from raising their skills if they don't have any attribute points. But of course they're going to have some to start out with, and it's going to take them away when we use them. So let's see. Let's just give myself some attribute points. We're just going to give them manually for now, but we'll create it into the system as a way to get them later. So we're going to flag player attribute points and the colon, and we're going to just give myself 16 of them. I'm just giving myself an arbitrary amount right now. And now if I try to upgrade, it's going to let me 16 times. 23. See? And I can keep going. And then as soon as I got down to 0, it'll stop me from doing so. But, well, actually, I'm not going to go down to 0 because I'm not taking them away. It's set at 16, right? It has to decrement down. Just like we're incrementing the level right here, we want to decrement the skill points. So we'll do that right in here at the same place as we're incrementing. So this will be very similar to this, attribute points. It'll be very similar to the line above. So the flag we're giving it. So we have to remember this flag and use it anytime we're using the attribute points. That's what we're calling it. And we're going to decrement it. So before we did the plus plus to add 1, now we're doing the minus minus, a colon minus minus to decrement 1 each time. And I was just saying, oh, you have to spell it right in every place, right? Alright, there we go. That's all the same. You can see that when you highlight one, it shows the other ones. So those are all the same. Alright, let's reload. Bring up our interface. It's going to add 1, and it should have decremented by 1. I'm going to narrate that again, so it's 15. So that's working. Now we want to give the player some feedback as to where they are with their attribute points. So let's print that right to the interface, and that's going to be in here. Right, this is where our book is being made and shown to the player. So we can, let's just make a definition. It's kind of a nice clean way to do it. Define, let's make a short version. I'll just make it the long version. Attribute points equals the player dot flag attribute points. So that's just a holder for it. And then let's make it, I'll move this up above our, this is kind of like our whole list of stuff that's going on. We're going to add this right to the end of here. So I'm just going to make, there might be cleaner ways to do this later on. We could refactor it to do so, but let's just put it here. And you know, I could put this flag right into this flag here, right into here, and it would show the same thing. But I think it's cleaner to have this nice block of definitions you're making so you can see what your code's doing. And then here you spit it out. Let's save that and test this out. Oops. Okay. Reload. Bring open our screen, and we have 15. That's our attribute points. We could do a thing here that if we put this in quotes, and we could tell them attribute points colon space. So now it's going to say attribute points and then how many they have, right? Let's reload. Attribute points. There we go. Now we have some feedback as to what the player has. So when we increment our strength, you can see that the attribute points goes down. Very handy. All right, one more thing I want to do in this lesson is give the player instructions as to what to do. So we're going to create a hover. Hover text, we'll call it for now. And it's going to be, so the hover is a special element, and I'll just write it out here for you. So it's ampersand hover. And then whatever we want to hover, and then close the hover. And hover. So this is just the way this tag is written. No worries. Let's look at it in the documentation. So there's the end hover, and the hover is, you know, it just tells you that it's the ending part of the tag, and the hover is here. So that's what we're doing. We set this up and hover, or ampersand hover, and then your hover text, and then what's in between it is your text that will be displayed. So I'll go back to the code and show you. We have this kind of set up here, and in here will be the hover text. In between these two, just put these in quotes right away so we're ready to go, is the text that'll be displayed. So in this case, it's going to be attribute display, because that's what we're already displaying. That's what we're already putting in here. But we want that still to run and be in there. But here is like, this is the hover text. So you can see we're using spaces in that, so that's why I have to have these quotation marks around it. And now instead of printing attribute display here, we're going to put the hover text. So now we're showing this in there, and this has the hover. So let's try that out. Reload, show our interface, and that has our hover text in there. This is the hover text. Good, we're all set up to go, and it included all these extra spaces. Here, click to raise, and we could even say what we want to raise. We could say click to raise the attribute name. Click to raise, and this is our definition, so we have to put it in brackets like that. Click to raise, and that'll say strength. So that's the useful part about, another useful part about creating these definitions and reusing information, because again, remember, this is running 3 times for each attribute, and if we had more attributes, it would run for more. So you're making your code once. We're making the code work for us, and that's the whole idea of this kind of thing. Let's reload and keep looking at that. Good. So click to raise intelligence, click to raise dexterity, and click to raise strength. And it says how many attribute points. The other thing I think I could throw in that hover text is we can put the descriptions in there of each thing. If I take this description and move it above my hover text, we have to define it before we can use it. Move that up 1 line above that, and now we can put the description in here as well. So you can see now what the text will be in the hover state. Right here, I have to put that in there. So we have to put our definition in there, and it's called description. And then we'll put a new line that we talked about before in here, so that it'll say the description and then give a space. In fact, I think I want like 2 spaces in there, so I will copy that and paste it right next to itself, so we have 2 lines. Let's see how that looks. Good. And I think the one main thing we're missing now is some coloring and things like that to make things look a little nicer. And I think we need a title for the book to show up, so we'll put that. We'll define attributes one last time. Define ATR list that we're making. Remember, we're defining it first up here, just initializing it. We're looping through it. We're looping through all of our attributes and adding to that list an item each time. And now we have all 3 items in our list, and now we can do whatever we want to it again after the for each loop to perhaps add another item, which I'm going to do in this case. And so that will be attributes and then ATTR list. Whether these are the best names, I don't know. Oh, it still puts that list thing in there, and I don't like that it's doing that. And I actually don't know how to get rid of that. So I might be stuck not adding my attributes in here right now. And it's because I'm making this list up here, and I'm making it a list. I think what I could do is just make that a generic item, like a generic string. And there we go. Now I got rid of it. It seems like that's not, or that's probably frowned upon by the developers, but of Denizen, that is. But it will work this time. It's not breaking anything. I don't know if it's future-proof. We'll put our new line in here. Alright, that's working. We just gotta get rid of that space. And we'll put 2 new lines in here, because our title will be a little different. Alright, and then we'll quickly talk about some formatting of code. And I think what we'll do is use colors to help with that. And those are a tag. So if we go back to the documentation, the meta documentation here, and look at, I know it's ampersand color. A lot of these kind of tags are, like hover was that way, colors, hover and color are that way, and a lot of these characters you put in. So you can see that the color is this tag here. What I like about this is that you can put hex code in there for a color, and then you really can use any color you want. You can put RGB color. I guess I like hex because it's just one line, and you can copy and paste it around really easy. RGB is fine too, but that like gives you all the colors of the rainbow, so to speak, in there. So let's make the, also let's do bold. I'm not sure what bold is in this case. Returns the chat color that makes the following characters bold. Okay, so it's the ampersand L. Let's make the title bold, but I want to print this out and show you. Of course, it's going to make everything bold because we need to reset it afterwards, and I think you do that by just, here it is, it's the returns the chat code back to normal. So if we do that right here, ampersand, oops, yeah, ampersand R, good, I got it, reload, so then it resets it right after that, and we have that working. So we have a nice little attribute system working here, and I think in the next lesson we will make it actually do something. These attributes are supposed to affect your player's abilities in the game. So let's do something like that in the next episode. So thank you for joining me. Until next time.